Hello, my friends. It's a new year, and it's 2024. This will be a good year for all the Gothic fans out there. This year, we will see the release of the Gothic remake. I'm not sure when exactly, but hey, we know it's coming this year. I gotta say, if they need time to polish it, well, they should just take their time and finish the product. I would gladly wait for a Gothic one, how it was envisioned back in the day. So, yes, this time I'm going a little bit off script here. Basically the first time that I'm doing something like that, but, gotta try that as well. I think looking back at the last year, at my channel, what I did, all the videos that I put out, obviously there is a potential to improve when it comes to the frequency of my uploads, but there is still real life. There is still other things that I have to do outside of my YouTube channel. I really enjoyed seeing all those people engaging with the videos that I put out, especially when I'm talking about, potential things for the remake or the lore videos, the Gothic lore series that I put out in the past. And yeah, there are some things that I want to talk about right now, and that's regarding the plans that I have. I'm always scribbling things in my little notebook. I have several scripts in the making. There is still the lore series, which is not really finished, obviously. There is at least still the mercenaries from Onar's farm, which is a pretty funny script, actually. I gathered a lot of speculation regarding some things. I don't want to spoil it right now, but yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. And obviously then there is things like the paladins and the water mages. I also have a script, which is pretty unfinished about the orcs. But yeah, just to let you guys know that there is still things in the work right now, but all those scripts, I start writing a script. I put my creative a vision that I have for the video on a paper, and then I'm trying to write some kind of intro, and then getting into the juice of the story. But those things, they take time, unfortunately, and I recognized in the past years, or when you're a creative person, sometimes it's not good to force your hand. When you sit down and you need to sit down to write a script, and you force yourself to write a script or make music or write lyrics or whatever, most of the time it's not to the best of your abilities when you force yourself. So these things kind of come naturally, and that is my process behind this channel. I need to be in the mood for that. Obviously sometimes you need to keep going, when it's like the script is finished, let's say 70% is finished, I try to get myself to sit down and write the last bit of it. But most of the time I try to let it come naturally, because I think you hear it in the quality, you feel it when you watch the video, when I'm really into that. So these are kind of, some plans which are out there, and I think that there is still some ground to cover when it comes to lore, beside those things that I just told you about. But there is also a little thing I want to talk about. And yeah, it's regarding Gothic 3. So basically, there were a few comments here and there, you know, people were asking for, hey, what about a lore series about the rebels in Gothic 3? Or what about a lore series about the orcs, Varand or whatever? And when I made my last video about the fire mages, it was like, I think it was received pretty well, but there was this one comment, you know, and the guy, he's not wrong in what he said. He was like, yeah, but there is so much more about the fire mages, things that we got to know in Gothic 3. And that's fair, that's right, but there is no other way to put it, but I don't plan on including the Gothic 3 lore anytime soon. I'm not saying that it will never happen. Far from it. I think, you know, maybe these things need even more time, and one day I decide to do it. But right now, it's going against what I want to do with this channel. Sounds a little bit weird, but hear me out, you know. To be frank, since Gothic 3 was released, I wasn't really fond of the game. I mean, I could do a whole nother video. I could do, you know, a whole script of telling you how I felt back in the day when I was a bit younger. My feelings towards Gothic 3 before it was released, having all the PR stuff happening, which was relatively big back in the day, and then how I felt about the game afterwards. I can shorten it a little bit, you know. I can give you a brief look into how I felt back in the day. I was really anticipating Gothic 3. I mean, I played Gothic 1, I was fascinated by it. Then Gothic 2 came out not long after that, and it was even better, you know. Then Night of the Raven came out, and I was like, oh my god, I can't fathom how much I love this game. And then we, as a Gothic community, we entered this dry period, you know. And, you know, there was a certain silence regarding the franchise. But then, suddenly, they announced the project, and it was, you know, as I said, with the PR, there was snippets from the orchestra, there were pieces of artworks released which looked pretty cool. I remember distinctly like this Nord Marion, you know, the artwork, and it looked so freaking cool. And I was just really anticipating it, and I had this childlike joy. But, well, you know, when it then released, I was kind of in a shock when it released, because it was completely different from what I expected it to be. But nevertheless, I was always looking, you know, for the essence of Gothic. So I kept on playing and I kept on playing, and eventually I finished the game, and I was like, okay. And the years after the release, I always came back to the game, also with the patches, the community patches, to try to find something in the game that I might have missed, you know, like maybe I didn't really get the game, you know. I was trying to wipe away my concerns that I had with it, and this not really fulfilling feeling that I had when I played the game. But it never came, you know, it never came. And just recently, a few months ago, I booted up Gothic 3 once more. I downloaded the community patch, the quest pack, and it does quite a lot, to be fair. It adds quite a lot. The community patch regarding balance and all that kind of stuff is actually pretty good, but I played it for a few hours, but then I, you know, deinstalled it. Because I realized, finally, that you can't really fix the core problems of Gothic 3. And it just confirmed the suspicions that I had that this is a game that is inherently flawed on multiple levels. It's not just, you know, the gameplay. It's not just the AI. It's not just the lore. There is so much more. And of course, you can find beautiful things when you play Gothic 3. When you ask most people, they love the soundtrack, which is completely fine. And I gotta admit, it's different kind of soundtrack that I envisioned for a potential Gothic 3. But it's having its moments, right? I don't want to say, you know, it's top notch from start to finish, but I love tracks like, what's it called, Trellis, Geldern at Night, you know, these kind of things. I love those tracks, but you know, maybe I go more into depth in a future video. Thing is, I see Gothic 3, how it was published back then, and even with all the patches, as an unfinished game. Yes, it's an unfinished game. And I don't want to delve into this, I'm sorry, piece of crap that is unfinished, and with the lore aspect being unfinished as well. I mean, if you take a look at the game, there are so many things that are not that were not mature enough to be released, and the lore is also part of it, you know. There are certain things that were not sitting right with me right from the start, like the whole thing with the runes. But nevertheless, even though the runes got destroyed, suddenly every mage can cast another type of magic, you know, which seemed to be more powerful and more accessible, you know. They say things like, oh, it's the old magics, you know, but suddenly everybody can do it, you know. Of course, they tried to they tried to tell you, you know, the mages are not as powerful as before, and some mages, you know, they're hiding with the rebels in the holes in the ground and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can see that, but again, to me, it's just an unfinished game, and that's why I don't enjoy playing it. And that is also one reason for me not enjoying making videos about it. And I think if I get to that point where I do things that are not fun to me, it becomes a chore. And I don't want this YouTube channel to be a chore, you know. I don't want it to be work. I mean, it is work, but if I like the things that I see, that I play, that I experience, it's a work that I like, you know. How that saying goes, you know, find a work that you love and you never have to work a day in your life. And that basically applies to this YouTube thing that I have got going. Nevertheless, if you like Gothic 3, and I know there is a bunch of people liking the game, that is completely fine, you know. If you ask me about my opinion about it, well, it is what it is, you know. I don't like the game. I think it is... Yeah, I told you about that, you know. I think it's unfinished. I don't really feel it. I think it's a mid-game if it wouldn't bear the name Gothic, you know. If it was a separate thing, I would say it's a mid-game, you know. You can get some joy out of it, but it is a Gothic game. And if I compare, you know, the juggernauts that are basically Gothic 1 and Gothic 2, plus Night of the Raven, obviously, it fell off so dramatically. It fell off quite a bit, and I mean, you see it with Piranha Bytes. They never really recovered from that fall. And in addition to the release of Gothic 3, they then did the weird fucking expansion, which I think I pirated it back in the day and played like 1 hour, but it was so weird and so strange that I put it in the bin, you know, right away. So this is my little explanation that I have for the whole Gothic 3 thing that some people might be expecting from my channel. Again, I don't say never, but right now I'm in a position where I don't want to tackle this problem. I don't want to get too much into it. Maybe little infos here and there that I can kind of weave into my Gothic lore series, but I try to avoid it for these reasons. Well, yeah, thank you for listening. Thanks for all the people who are sticking to the channel, anticipating the next video. I know it takes time. I mean, sure, there's potential, but thanks for sticking with me. I had a blast reading all the comments, you know, different takes on things. When we were speculating about certain topics in the lore series, I liked that many people kind of illuminated me with knowledge that I didn't had before the channel, regarding, for example, the Phoenix Tales, for example, or what was it called, Orpheus, which was like the prototype for Gothic, and they had the design documents, and they are very rich in information, and I also plan to do a video on that. But, you know, it's kind of the same thing because it's not canonical, but it's still interesting to see what Piranha Bytes back in the day planned for Gothic. And it is pretty detailed regarding certain big names in the colony, right? Yeah, maybe I do a video about that, but right now, let me just check it real quick, what I have in store, just to tease a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there is kind of two scripts sitting here that are based on Chronicles of Metana, Archolos. I gathered some material for a Chronicles of Metana Easter egg video. Yeah. Then there is things like, you know, a review that I started about returning. Some of you might not know, but I absolutely dislike that modification. If you like it, again, the same thing with Gothic 3, more power to you. I think it's for people who really like the engine and who never want the experience to end. You know, that you can play that game for 80 or 90 hours or whatever and really grind it. But yeah, it's not really for me. Then there is things like, you know, regarding Gothic 3, talking not about the lore, but why I really did not like it. A little more, going a little more into detail from what I said in this little piece that I'm uploading soon. What else do I have? Not talking about that, but yeah, I had this remake wish list that I made some time ago, but I don't think that I put it up there. Yeah, and like a meta commentary why Gothic 2, especially the starting area, feels so great because of the handcrafted nature of the games. Again, there is a few things in the making. Some of those things I haven't told you about. And there is a reason for that, but yeah. I also plan other things to do in the future, but I will stick to the stuff that you know me for the Gothic lore series, and you know, news regarding the remake, and if there are any substantial news, you know, if they like the last podcast they put out, there were some kind of information in there, definitely, but it was, you know, kind of lacking. And I don't want to be that kind of news channel that does a 15-minute commentary about this one vague thing that they mentioned, you know. I don't want to be that kind of channel, you know. If there's a substantial amount of things to talk about, I'm gonna put together a script, and then I'm gonna put it out there for you guys. And I think it worked pretty well with the with a screenshot analysis and the news that I gathered in that one video. And this format is what I like to do. Yes, and I think that is what I wanted to say. Again, thanks for sticking with me. And I hope you have a great January. I wish you all the best. Thanks guys for watching. That's it for now. It's just a little, you know, off-script rambling about things that may come in the future and how I feel about certain things. And yeah, I just wanted it to get to put it out there basically as a little disclaimer. By the way, there was also I already recorded it. It's let me see. It's 25 episodes. I did a playthrough of Gothic 1. But back in the day, that wasn't all too long ago, but I had a microphone which wasn't really suited for that kind of stuff. Now I got a new microphone and it's way better. The quality is quite good, I think. It's more suited towards these kind of playthroughs and let's plays and all that kind of shit. So I actually didn't want to ask you guys if you would like to see that kind of stuff, you know, a playthrough or whatever. But I think, you know, in the end I have to decide about what I put out there, and I think it might be cool, you know, playing through the game and kind of analyzing things on the go, you know, talking about interesting stuff that we see right there in the game, and then we can talk a little bit about it. So yeah, that idea isn't completely off the table. I may return to it in the future, but again, you know, this is just for you knowing that there is still things planned, that there is still things that I want to put out there. There are scripts there that I need to refine, and they're in different stages of completion, basically. There are scripts being almost finished. There are scripts where I have a rather well, rough outline for, but yeah. Bear with me, guys. I'm very thankful for your patience. And yeah, now I'm gonna end this thing, and I'm just rambling on for some minutes now, so I'm really sorry for that. But yeah, again, thank you so much, all the people who are part of this little community. It's not a big channel by any means, but I think it's quite nice. It's quite nice. Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye bye.